Good morning, and for those that have just joined, just waiting a couple of minutes. So our webinar this morning is about email marketing. Is email marketing still an effective channel for B2B marketing? So first of all, I'd just like to do a little bit of housekeeping. The webinar will run about 40 minutes, perhaps a little, not quite sure. I haven't timed it exactly, and I'm not clever enough to be able to multitask and answer questions at the same time. So if you do have any questions, then please do just get in touch with me afterwards. Give us a call at the office, or just drop us an email. I'm really happy to have a chat with you. So the first thing we're going to do is we're just going to touch on what we're going to cover today, and I'll just, rather than rambling, I'm just going to leave you for a couple of seconds just to have a quick look at that. Now, it might seem kind of an obvious question here, as in we're an email marketing company. We deal largely with B2B businesses. Is email marketing an effective channel? Well, we think it is, and there are a number of fantastic successes that we have with our clients. So we're going to but one of perhaps the most important things here is around proving an ROI for this channel. This marketing channel, just like any others, whether it's paid search, whether it's advertising, posters, the whole social media space, all of those different things. The question so often is all around the ROI, as in, I've got this much money to spend, and is what I'm going to do going to deliver me some sales? So we're going to then also just talk a little bit about the back to basics in terms of marketing, because it is, in our opinion, doing the job properly and doing it in a really skilled way means you're going to get some opportunities coming your way, and we prove that time and time again. But if you get it wrong, you get nothing. It's not far from the whole thing around, I use this example of Photoshop, brilliant retouching package. I'm quite competent in that place. I'm quite good with Photoshop. I'm not an expert, and if I see an expert, it's, oh my God, I just had no idea you could do all of those things. So we're going to just talk a little bit about B2B and B2C, why that matters. We're going to just touch on where email marketing fits in. Is it a silver bullet or part of the marketing mix? Touch on segmentation in your marketplace. We're going to talk a little bit about where email marketing goes wrong, and that's really the crux here as far as we're concerned. Subject lines, long or short content, best images for your designs. And then we're going to talk a little bit about best practice. I'm going to touch on GDPR a little bit. It's still a very woolly place, but it's important. I'm going to talk a little bit about platforms. And then I'm also going to talk a bit about sending frequency and also the metrics. Now, I really love this little cartoon here. I'm going to put it up here for you, and I'm going to shut up for a minute. Now, the thing is in marketing is that we now live in this world where so many things are provable because we can measure them. We can measure the results of the marketing we do. But the metrics that exist within the world of email marketing only scratch the surface in terms of whether or not it's effective. So, little email I'm going to show you here. I hope you can see that. So this is an email. I blurred some relevant bits out, some personal bits out. This was an email that we sent out last week, a couple of weeks ago, 25th of April. Great little subject line. It was targeted at learning and development directors and people in HR. And what a great result. Right, that's it. I've put it off long enough. I need to come and talk to you. Your email teasers are awesome. When can we meet? It's the kind of inbound inquiry that everybody wants. And it's easy to measure, as in we send an email out, somebody phones us up, and that's all great. But the point here is that I want to draw your attention to is this is not the first email we've sent to this company. We've sent loads of emails to this guy over probably the last 2 or 3 years, and something triggered for him. So when you're measuring those metrics and you're measuring whether email marketing works, the key point here is that it's worked really well here, but it took a bit of time. Now, not much changes in the world of marketing, and anybody that's seen my webinars or talked to me before will recognize some of the things that I'm going to talk about. And the whole thing about your brand, your company's brand, and recognize that most of you here today are in a service or you're in a business to business environment, and largely you have what we refer to as a high value consultative sale, as in this is not a widget, it's not a trampoline for 99 quid. Click here, buy it online, good buying experience. It's not about that. It's about putting your message out in such a way as people engage with you. Now, this old poster here, when Esso put this out from probably in the 50s, I should think, it wasn't possible to measure how many people went to a petrol station and filled up with any Esso products, Esso petrol in those days. And so email marketing is not a million miles away from that, but I just caution you, don't get hung up on the detail around the metrics, because it's a dangerous place. What's important here is that and some of you that have seen what I do and the way that I present are going to think, oh, for God's sake, Nick, not again. But it's so important in the world of marketing, and email is exactly in this place. You need to attract somebody's attention, you need to create interest, desire, and you need to tell them what to do next. Now, email is a fleeting medium. Email marketing is a fleeting medium. And crucially, it is also a disruptive medium, because the people that we're sending emails to haven't asked for an email. So we're sending it to them on a speculative basis. We are interrupting their day. And so it has to be written for them, not for you. Now, a great example of this fleeting medium is in the world of posters. And this is a 48 sheet poster. It's, I don't know how old this is, 5 or 6 years old, but a number of you are going to recognize it because it hasn't changed much. So boy or girl with glasses, attract the attention. I'm a specky, I'm wearing glasses now. And it's got a simple proposition on it, and then it's got the tagline that many of you will know. You should have gone to Specsavers, and with a Specsavers logo at the bottom. So if you think about how you work in terms of email marketing and whether it's a good channel or not, if you think about what you do with a big logo at the top and a big image, what you need to do is you need to give people what they want. And it's not about sending them long image-based emails that talk about what you do. It has to be interesting and pertinent. Now, just as this email was here with an interesting subject line, who's hijacked your leader's amygdala, part of the brain, the email was around safe brain and threat brain. It's the world of learning and development and senior HR people in companies. And in this case, it kind of did the trick, which was kind of what we wanted. So if you go onto the internet, which you can do after this or during it, whatever you like, and you check out email marketing checklists, the one thing that kind of amazes me is there's very rarely, in fact, I've never seen a distinction between B2B and B2C. Now, I get a number of emails that come into probably into my Gmail, into my private email box from companies that are selling the kinds of things that I buy. So I recently went to Go Outdoors. I like outdoory things, and I buy stuff from there. I'm also an Audible fan. I like Audible and I like the books, and they promote to me via email all the time. But the crucial difference between this B2C advertising and the B2B marketing work that we're doing for our clients, and a number of you may be doing for yourselves, or you may be advising other people, is there's no brand that's recognized. There's no recognized brand. So, for example, if I'm going to buy something that's North Face or Berghaus or Merrill or one of and the price is right, it's really very simple. I just come up to this point here. The easy bit is around price delivery and reputation. So if you're buying from Amazon and you're buying something you know or you've been promoted to by some retailer, business to consumer, it's a pretty easy decision to make. Would you like to buy these boots or this or that for this sum of money? So the reputation is usually largely sorted out because you know who you're buying from. Delivery, that's an easy one. And reputation, well, that comes with the quality of the delivery and the quality of the product that you know. But we're different. Anybody in the business to business community needs to do things differently because you need to prove your capability. You need to define the nature of your service or product, but you need to do it in such a way as not about we're good at doing this. So the firm of accountants that say, we don't talk jargon, we care for our clients, we get your tax return or your tax affairs done on time. Well, actually, I wouldn't expect anything less. So you need to offer more than just what you do. We know that if you're a plumber, you've got a blowtorch and something to and some pipes and some solder and things. We know that. So don't say that. You don't need to. You need to prove your reputation, skills, ability in your target marketplace. You need to prove that you are good value, effective, and that your suitability for the particular company you're going to work for is right. Yeah, you need to talk about an ROI and you need to talk about delivery, but fundamentally, in the world of email marketing, you are largely sending your recipients to your website. And they will look there. If they've not heard of you, they'll click on your website and they'll have a little look and see, who is this company? So that website experience in the world of email marketing is absolutely crucial. Now, here's a thought. I'm going to put up a website image from a homepage from a company that I don't know. I have no gripe with them at all, but it's a classic case of self-indulgent creativity. Well, I use the word loosely, creativity. And the website says, if you can't read it, I've written it on here, at ProTasker, we strive for excellence. We want to be we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence then is not an act, but a habit. Now, the reality is, I don't know what they do anyway, because it doesn't say. And it's just self-indulgent tosh, frankly. Here's another page from that, and I'm going to just tell you what that says, because it's a little bit difficult to read. Work like you don't need the money, love like you've never been hurt, and dance like no one's watching. It says nothing. It says nothing at all. So if you think about the journey from writing email content, emailing it out to a database, more of which later, you're expecting the recipient who hasn't asked to be contacted to buy into what you do, where you add value. Now, they also might have a little look on LinkedIn. We all know LinkedIn well. And this company here, when they filled in, said there are 51 to 200 employees here. But it doesn't follow, because they see all 2 employees here. So the thing is, what's gone wrong here is that, and I was drawn originally to this website because I got an email from these guys. And I'm suspicious, but it doesn't take much to get this bit right. And there's nothing wrong with being 2 people in your company, or 1 person in your company, or 9 or 1,000. That's not the point. The point here is to be credible. So things can go wrong very easily. Now, our company, if you go to our website, you can see who works here, and there's a little bit about them. You can see that we've got a dog in the office. It doesn't look like that now because she's been stripped. And it's about credibility. And it's really that is so important, so that everything adds up, so that the people that you go to, the people that you're wanting to speak to, kind of understand and trust you. So I'm now just going to touch on where the whole thing of email marketing fits in. And email marketing is not a silver bullet here. There are so many different ways you can spend your marketing money. And the temptation to go with what's cheap and easy, and we can do our own social media. So anybody here on the website, and I think on this webinar, and I think there's a couple of people who are offering marketing services, marketing advice, will know only too well that clients doing their own social media often isn't the best way, because there's no kind of structure or rigor within it. So biddable media, Google AdWords, commercial radio, trade press advertising, sponsorship, all of those things are, in their own ways, good marketing channels, but crucially, it needs to be done right to a high standard. So I'm just going to show you now a couple of things of where I think things go wrong in the world of email marketing. And I suppose because things go wrong, it's then very easy for the company doing that email marketing, or whether they're doing it themselves or they're using somebody like us, like an agency, it's very easy just to blame the marketing channel. And I would say to you that anybody that's done any Google AdWords advertising has probably somewhere on the journey had a bad experience. And it's so easy then to say, this PPC, this biddable stuff on Google, just a waste of time, waste of money, it doesn't work. Well, it doesn't work for some people. It works very well for others. So this is an email that I got a little while ago now. It's got a classic spelling mistake in the headline, which I love. And it's all about them introducing our newest team member. I don't know who this company is. I just know that periodically I get emails from them, and they're very, very, very pleased to announce that Brendan will join the team. And it's like, I don't care. I just don't care. And it's so important. It's so important that what you send out is interesting and pertinent. Now, my other friends, and I use the term loosely because I don't know who they are and it doesn't really matter for the sake of this. These people here at ProTasker, the sky is our limit. Fly as high as you dream. Again, it means nothing and I don't know what they do. And something else that sort of strikes me here is if you go to the about page of a number of websites, and I challenge you, go and have a look at your own, that probably says more about what you do and where you add value than the home page does. And my thoughts around that are that the website designer, and remember most website designers aren't marketing people, they're website designers, struggle to articulate in words what a company does and where it adds value if it is a service. If you're selling trampolines or tents or cottages or houses, of course you've got imagery to support it and it works very well then. But for a lot of us, and I know this as a fact because I've seen who's on this webinar today, there are a number of people here who have a service, just like Essentia Mail is a service. I can't show you a picture of what we do for you to buy. And if you think, any of you that have any knowledge around Google Analytics, if you look at the engagement on home pages, expect 50, 60, perhaps more % of the people that come to your website to jump off the home page within less than 10 seconds. So that's an interesting thought. So the other thing now is about subject lines. Now, there's an interesting point about subject lines, and it picks up on the whole messaging. Sorry, it picks up on the whole thing around the metrics. So if you can get good open rates because your subject line is good, then you're going to think, well, hang on a minute, we're doing very well. But I would argue, going back to this point here, it isn't the metrics. What's actually important is this person's question here, as in, did we actually get any sales? Because that is probably the most important part. So here's a thought from the world of search. So let's just assume that seafront cottages is our subject line. And then we've got a load of ads. So these are all paid ads here. Further down will be some of the natural search. So the SEO people that have been good at delivering impressions. So these are impressions here. Each of these is an impression or an ad. Now, if I click on one of these, I'm not sure which one I did click on because I'm going to come to it now. I get delivered some cottages. Now I'm searching for seafront cottages, seashore, seafront cottages. Neither of these two cottages are seafront or seashore cottages. So the first one here is a 5-minute walk and this is a 10-minute walk away. So if you think about it, the metrics from this PPC campaign are going to be good because a lot of people want a seafront cottage, seashore cottage when they Google it. So we're delivering the traffic, but we're not matching the expectation, which means that the subject lines have to be relevant, because if they're too vague or promise too much, yeah, the metrics are going to look all right, but you're not going to make any sales. And I have done this search before where I want to go and stay somewhere where I can look at the sea. When I wake up in the morning, there's the sea, and neither of these two are going to satisfy that requirement. So these people here, just a little bit back, have paid probably 4 or 5 quid for me to click on these, and they've delivered something that doesn't match my search criteria. So if you think about that in the context of subject lines, make sure your subject lines can deliver what you're talking about, which this is the seduction bit, if you like, from the attention, interest, desire, and action. Make sure that what you're offering is actually interesting. So some subject lines. So I'm just going to be quiet for a couple of minutes while you have a look at those. So the first 5 here are red, and they are stating the obvious there, isn't it? The first 5 here are emails that have arrived in my inbox when I've done to do presentations like this, and they are vague. You get an idea of what they are. Some of them use a sort of death knell word like newsletter. This company here, a media company, told us they've rebranded, and frankly, I really don't care about that. ESS doesn't mean anything to me. This is clearly a law company. They don't mean anything. These other subject lines are all subject lines that I know quite well, and I can tell you what kind of clients they are from this. The culture of exclusion, who's guilty, is a training company. Again, well, the one I showed you at the top of the presentation. Youth brands, stand still or die, is a marketing company. Turning clicks into clients is a search company. Recruitment without recruitment fees, well, that's what everybody wants. A recruitment company. Is your top talent about to jump ship is for another HR type company. Show off your prowess with film is for a video company. Now, this last one here, which I do like a lot, was also for a training company, and it touched on the whole thing of bias, unconscious bias in the workplace, which in corporate company, in big companies, is such a really it's a real hot potato. And what we achieved with that is nobody was upset, but we got some really fantastic engagement with that. We got some fantastic buy-in, and we got some business for this client. So that was a really valuable place to be. So the subject lines have to be relevant to the kinds of propositions that you want to talk about. So don't seduce people within your company if you're doing subject lines. Oh no, why don't we try this one? This is about your brand. This is about delivering important things for your company, so that you are talking about the things that you do well. Now, clearly, within any emails, there are links that send back to the website. So getting those bits right, as in how do you look online, and be harsh about it. If you're saying what's completely obvious, the plumber's got a blowtorch and the accountant can get your accounts in on time, well, of course, that's what I expect. But what more could you offer that gives a bit of advice and a bit of knowledge? Because if you think about it, all you guys out there today, you're all experts at what you do. Share that expertise, because if you share what you're good at and what you know and the expertise you have, you build reputation, build gravitas, and people like you for that. So good site, bad site, so very important. Does it look like you can deliver, as in, are you credible? So if you are a one-man band, then don't try and hide it away, because there are some great one-man bands, and I think there are a couple here today who do good marketing work, but be realistic about it. If you haven't got a studio and you're not a full-service ad agency, don't pretend you are. So ask yourself the question, how will you reassure your visitor? And ironically, if you think about the way that we all buy things now online, reassurance is a key element to any sale, and it is going to get more and more important in the way that we sell our products and services. And it isn't about a little testimonial on your site that says, I would recommend this company. It's about your customers talking to your potential customers in such a way, in good video testament is a fantastic thing. Now, I will go back to this ADA again, because it is so important in understanding your messaging. And it all comes back to that point. Is email marketing still a great tool, marketing channel in the world of B2B marketing? Yes, absolutely it is. So here's another little thought along those first things. So why marketing emails are a bit like speed dating. So if you think about this, these two people here, sorry, 2 secs for you to read that. So years and years ago, I did some speed dating. It was quite an enjoyable, frenetic experience. I never met anybody that I for more than 5 minutes, but anyway, it was 3 minutes of my life with a number of people to chat to. And the point here is, if this person here, this guy, asks himself a question, what do I need, assuming he likes the girl, the person opposite, what can I say to this person so that they're going to think I'm a really cool, lovely guy? And likewise, if she likes him, what could she say? What proposition could she put in front of him? That's perhaps not well phrased. What could she say to him so that he thinks, wow, I really like you? Now, quite often, it's not about talking about your last relationship or your ex-wife or husband or partner. It's more about listening and understanding what she's interested in, or vice versa. So it's a really interesting point, that. And I know it's a bit of a weird one, but it's something I often put in proposals. What do I need to say to those people out there so they say, blimey, I'm really interested in that, I'd like one of those? What does the accountant need to say so that me or the potential customer thinks, blimey, that's an interesting thought, I didn't know that, I'm going to give them a call? So the other challenge here, of course, is one we've had before. I want my emails to really stand out. Now, ironically, making your emails stand out has nothing to do with how bright and brash they are. Unless, of course, you want to trash your brand, in which case you can do it once or twice and then that's it. So this was a challenge that we had. I'm just going to a little example here. And if you've been here before with any webinars that we've done, I've used this before, but I'm not going to apologize for it because it's so relevant. So this is a company that we worked for. We don't work for them anymore. It's a long story. They make amazing models. So they will prototype dashboards or prosthetic limbs or all sorts of whiskey bottles, perfume bottles, all sorts of things that people might need. A fantastic, absolutely real looking model. So the subject line here, James Bond and his models. When you go to the next James Bond film, you'll be expecting the very best models. And if you remember the Ice Palace and the Antonov cargo plane in Die Another Day, you'll remember how good those models were. So we've then an explanation that Steve, who works at Paragon, used to work at Pinewood Studios. So that's the kind of link there. But crucially, we're not talking about the company. This is nothing to do with Paragon. And then we're offering some interesting things here for them to go and have a look at. A bionic hand, a dashboard, lamp cluster. And remember that the marketplace here for them are people that understand the whole rapid prototyping, 3D printing. They live in that world and it's a good database. So we also, because we were challenged, were asked to do the same thing, the same email, so same subject line, same when you go and see the next James Bond film. Obviously there was a mail merge in here, and then there are links. These links here which are the same links as we had here, these 4 links. And we sent this out to 4,800 or thereabouts, just under 5,000 people. We split the data 50-50 and we sent it all out. So what happened? Well, this email clearly looks good because it shows everything that we want to know. And this email is just a dull text email with an interesting subject line. Subject line was the same on both of them, as you can see, James Bond and his models. So what happened? We had 160 people click through on those links. 41 of those people came from the picture email. 136 came from the text only. So why? Why would that happen? Well, the reality is, if you think about this for a minute, if you go and look at your inbox after this webinar, or you look at your inbox in the morning, or whenever you look at your inbox, any emails in a work context, any emails that have a load of images, pictures, logos, you know the person who sent that email or the company that sent it is about to try to sell you something. Whereas the email that I showed you a minute ago entices you to read more because it's interesting and it's pertinent and it's well written. It's a little bit edgy. It plays on the whole models thing. It's kind of obvious. The other thing that was an important point here is that we also sent 103 emails and 103 emails to one particular client. And the picture email, which delivered naught, you can't see the rest of it on here, is because it bounced and their server said, don't like the look of this email. So there are a number of, in fact, the text email outperformed the picture email by about 3.5 to 1. So if you can't think of what to put in emails other than a load of imagery, It's probably because you're probably not the right person to write or create those emails, because messaging and content is king. So I know I've gone on about that, but it's so important. So I'm just going to talk a bit about best practice. Now, when I was putting this webinar together, I was kind of shocked because, blimey, 2010, but nothing's changed. Emails need to be pertinent, interesting. They need to be properly addressed. They need to come from a real person. They need to be delivered at a sensible time, 10:47. They need an interesting subject line. They need an easy call to action. And they need to give something. They need to talk a little bit about something that might be of interest to the target market that we're going to communicate with. So clearly, those kinds of things, in terms of the context of best practice, are clearly very important, more so than your delivery platform or the amount of clicks or the amount of this or the amount of that. So in our world, short and simple is great. In our world, business to business, images just say that you're going to sell and reduce the possibility of your email being delivered. Good data. Now, good data is classic here. In the world of data, it's a pretty mucky place. It's changing all the time. And there are lots of people selling really shitty, nasty data, which will just get you into trouble. So you need to spend that time and understand that you send an email out, you get a bunch of people that open it, click, engaged, however. Well, remember, they are now different people to the people that haven't looked. And so the whole thing about sending emails out in such a way as people are that reflects where they are in the buying cycle is clearly a really important place. So if somebody has engaged, then obviously respect that, so that the messaging the next time respects the fact that they know you and know of your company. When emails bounce, because people aren't, for a number of reasons, hard bounces as in the person might have moved on, it's really important then to clean the data up, not just continually send and send and send. Even if the numbers are big, it's really valuable to recognize that in the world of email marketing, 30 to 40% of email data goes out of date every year. So whatever data you buy, the first time you send to it, a load of it's already out of date. So good quality is absolutely key to making this work. The other thing is, and I don't know, we use our own delivery platform, and we will always send smaller and slower send speed. So we'll always send, instead of sending 50,000 emails out or 30,000 or even 10,000, we'll always break databases up and we will send them over a period, and we'll send them slowly. Now that's not pressing the send button slowly. That's not quite, but the sending delivery platform should give you the option to do that. If it doesn't, it's not that helpful, but I can't tell you more about that because we don't use those proprietary platforms in terms of Constant Contact or all of the ones, you know what I mean, MailChimp and so on. So content here, content is key to making things successful. Recognize when you're segmenting your marketplace or you're targeting within different verticals that, remember, an architect or a restaurant, they're different kinds of businesses. They're structured differently. Restaurant doesn't have a load of partners. It could be part of a chain. The messaging to a restaurant, whatever you're trying to sell them, whether it's interior design or office furniture or tables or food, recognize that messaging needs to be relevant to whoever you're sending it. Really, really important point. The other point that's important here is how often, and quite often there's a kind of desperation that creeps in, that if we shout at somebody by sending them an email every day, they're going to respond. Well, they're not. They're going to unsubscribe you. That's an interesting point too, that when you do send emails out, I think I'll come on to this in a minute, you know if you've got, I mean, most email platforms will deliver this, you know who's clicked and who's had a look at a link or a blog. So for example, back to this email here, we know who clicked on these links. Now, these people have sort of come into your shop, metaphorically speaking. They've come and had a look. You know that. So wouldn't it be a good idea to have a little conversation with them perhaps and see if you could help them? And it's not about snooping or anything. It's just about doing things in such a way as just to try to be helpful and start a conversation because something has triggered their interest. I'm making the assumption here that the email content or the blog that you're linking them to or the other online asset is kind of interesting. So we, rule of thumb, unless of course we're promoting a webinar or an event, we won't contact people more than once a month. That doesn't mean you can't send out regularly, because you just segment the database and maybe you can send to architects one week and then the next week you're going to send to another group. But fundamentally, I want to restrict the amount of emails we send out to anybody to 12 a year. So the other point here, which I know I banged on about, but it is crucial to this, is content. Content is king. And I pick on this email here because this is where database was segmented. So this is for the learning and development company. And here is an email. Can top fee earners be good leaders too? So we're using the word fee earners because this is going to solicitors and a database of solicitors. And then we talk about a particular company that this particular company's worked with. So we've taken the database and we've split it up into business verticals, and we're writing messages that relate specifically to a business, a vertical. So and it picks on a point that exists within lots of larger companies where there's a lot of ability but not much leadership skill. Can your top talent rise through the ranks to become good leaders as well as top performers, or will they brush aside their colleagues, leaving chaos in their wake? So that really touched a nerve for one of the people that we sent this to. When I say we sent it on behalf of the client. And the response to that, I'm interested to you further about your email below, plus your case study, because we linked them to a case study. So clearly, if you can get it right, the messaging, it's going to work. And this is really back to that point. If you don't get it right, you'll get nothing. You'll get a lot of unsubscribes, but you won't get any business, and that's really the point here. So remember, you're taking up the person's time that you're sending this email to them. So make it appropriate. Don't disappoint them by putting a subject line on there that then is not backed up by any substantive information. So make it appropriate to them, pertinent, information giving, humble. Don't assume that you can help somebody without knowing anything about them. Interesting and helpful. And if you do that, you will elicit a positive response. Now, just going to touch on another topic here about measurement and my skepticism. It is important, of course it is, and we use it with all of our clients. And the whole thing around opens and delivery, hard and soft bounces, unsubscribes, click-through rates, and in the case of a retailer online, a shopping cart abandonment. So it is important to this, and we present our stats, and this is some typical stats that we might present to a client. So we've sent 35,000 emails, 4,500 unique opens. Unique means that somebody hasn't opened something twice or 3 times. It's easy to put in bigger figures here if somebody's opened emails a number of times. Now, in the world of email marketing, quite often a firewall will see an email and it will check all the links, maybe 5 or 6 links. So the links could be to blogs, it could be the logo which sends people back to the home page of the website. So again, it's really important to understand that unique opens is an important point here. So total unique clicks, again, unique, same thing, people who click twice, it doesn't count. And then a figure of click to open rate. So those people who clicked, those people who opened, a proportion clicked, and this is a very good figure. And the unsubscribe rate is nice and low. You'll always get a higher unsubscribe rate from the first time you use database. That's not unusual. So clearly those things are pretty important. But I just want to touch on the numbers then. And I'm going to, again, just put back to the world of PPC because it's relevant here. If you Google marketing agency, you end up with your 4-page search up at the top. Now remember, Google have changed this, I think, so that things work on mobile phones, mobile platforms better. But you used to get 3 here, and then you get a bunch of other ads running down here. So that doesn't exist anymore. But you may remember that. So in the world of search, each of these is called an impression. So you search for something and you deliver these impressions. And you think that people are going to click on these if that's what they're searching for, but the reality is different. And here are the metrics, and this is important. I'll come on to why. So if you get 100 impressions, as in, so 100 people search, marketing agency, cottage, shoreline cottage in Wales, only 1 or 2% will click on your ad. So on your ad, these are the ads. Of those people that land on your website, only 2% will engage. Now, if you think back to the cottage example I used at the beginning, I've clicked on it, but I haven't gone any further because those cottages don't work for me. So of the 2% of the 1 or 2%, 14% might actually buy from you. So if you want to achieve one sale, how many times do you need to be visible? And it's a frightening figure, 175,000. Now, obviously, this is an estimate. It's a big estimate. But it's important that if you're not in front of a lot of people, you won't get the engagement. And it's the same with the whole social media space. You need to be in front of a lot of people. So if you've got 100 followers or 100 Twitter followers or a few people on Facebook, it's just not going to work. And the numbers need to be big for people to engage, because so many, we're not even talking about search here. We're talking about the disruptive medium of email marketing. So somewhere else, I'll just put this in because I like this. I'll just leave you to read this little cartoon. So the point here is, don't make it difficult for people to engage with you. So don't make people sign up, because people don't like signing forms online and filling their details in. So if you've got a white paper or something that's of interest, let them have it, because you know what? You know who they are because you sent them an email promoting it. And it is getting better and better, but if you make your content difficult to find and difficult to get hold of, then hey, email marketing won't work. Of course it won't, because you're making things too difficult. So just remember these figures here, they are massive, and you need to be in front of a lot of people on a regular basis with great content. So I'm just going to touch on GDPR. So for those of you that aren't familiar with that, the whole thing around the legality of emailing and the difference between businesses and consumers is and has been comparatively simple. In the world of email marketing, business to business, basically you can sell anything to anybody, and you can use the business card that got left in the goldfish bowl at an exhibition, or you can find out who they are and you can email them, or you can buy the data. In the world of consumer, you have to be opted in. And what is threatening GDPR, and it's a piece of European legislation, and it will come in irrespective of Brexit, and it comes in, it's in now, but it's going to be enforced from May, about a year's time, says that it's going to be pretty bad news if you email people who haven't genuinely opted in, as in, yes, I am happy to receive emails about your service or product, and then you're not in a place where you can then send them emails about other things. So the soft opt-out is, if you click here, we won't send you anything, won't be acceptable. However, if you nip onto our website or look around the whole GDPR space, it's all a bit vague. And my feeling is the way this is actually going to play out is there won't be this massive shift where you're going to be charged 20% of your turnover if you send an email to an individual who hasn't asked to have that email, because it just isn't sustainable. So watch this space. I think things will change, but you know what? It's good if data is better. The quality of email data is better, and it's a positive. It should be seen as a positive. The bottom line is we work with companies, so we only work with data providers that adhere to the new regulations regarding GDPR, as in the people that we are buying data for on behalf of our clients, nobody's going to get into any trouble with, and it's quite legitimate to be able to market to those people. So it's an important point, something to remember. So finally, a few points to remember. We're nearly there, guys. Thank you. So content is king, or good content is king. And good copy is difficult to write. It's a real skill. And if you feel you want to outsource it, then that's what you should be doing, because to write those punchy little lines that have given us some of the success that we've had, really important. Now, make it easy for your recipient to understand what you're offering, and I put here and why it's a benefit to them. Now, if you're a plumber and you say or an accountant, and we say we do your accounts, don't talk jargon, you can speak to a partner, all of those things. Well, I expect all those things anyway. So the key point here is what can you offer to somebody that's of interest? Now, in the world of accountancy, there are loads of interesting things about mitigating against corporation tax, around flat rate VAT for smaller businesses. There's a world of knowledge. I don't have it, but you know what? All those accountants do. And it's those things that should be sold, brought to the attention of the potential customer. And if the data is well segmented back to the accountant, so small businesses get small business messages like flat rate VAT, and big businesses get information around audit over 5 or 6 million or whatever that is, there's a better chance of them engaging. Look at your content and apply the so what test. And if it really is, I'm a plumber and I've got a blowtorch, nothing wrong with plumbers, then don't send it. Don't send it. Have a great website with lots of relevant landing pages. So don't send somebody to a website that means nothing, because they'll just jump off it. Have a rigorous process to follow up visitors to your shop. Your shop as a metaphor there, as in your business, your website. If people come and have a look at your website, why on earth would you ignore them? If you can imagine us sitting behind our counter in a high street and the people come up to the window and they have a little look in, or they open the door and have a look in, they walk away. Well, at some point, one of us is going to get up and say, why are you walking away? And that's why, because it needs to be interesting. And then don't get hung up on the metrics. I know I've banged on about that. It's really important. Look deeper into why you're not getting the quality conversions that you need. So guys, I'm going to answer that question again. That's right at the top. Email marketing is a great marketing channel with a proviso that it's done really well. Email marketing business to business is very different from emailing the people you know that have bought products and services from you that you know well because you're a retailer. So thank you very much for being here this morning, and thank you for not running away, which none of you seem to have done. And if you do have any questions or you'd like to talk further, then please do give us a call or just drop me a quick email, nick@essentialmail.com. I think probably it is there for you to see. Happy emailing. And guys, thanks again very much for being here this morning.